Hi, it's your psycho buddy. Today we have the pleasure of speaking again with Sunny, who shares with me a distinctive and yet not particularly uncommon, perhaps, experience of either being, for me, or having been DID, a system. Um, and in my opinion, pretty much everything Sunny has to say about her experience is fascinating. So I'm just going to hand the screen over now and see what happens next. If any questions come up, I'll let you know, Sunny.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I wanted to say was that it's really bizarre. I did not get a chance to live my life after age 6. My life was basically handed over to Angel, who kind of ran the show and kept us all safe. Um, and now what I'm finding is I am not switching, but I am finding myself experiencing um, different things at different ages. Really hard to find words for this. Um, I will just go into a something will happen. I will experience it as a 6-year-old for the first time. And then something else will happen, and I will experience that as an adult. And then something else will happen, and I will experience it as a teenager. And it's all me. And yet there are, it's like reclaiming things that, reclaiming opportunities to go ahead and um, participate in this part of life. It's doing a horrible job of explaining it, but it's like there are times, like right now, I just went for a run on the cross trainer in the other room, and I was on there for an hour, and I'm got it's in front of the TV, and so I've got the TV on, and I am watching a show that is really mature. Um, this is just, yeah, there's violence in it. There's all kinds of stuff in it, and I'm watching it, and I'm okay watching it. And then last night, we're looking through the shows in our wait, that's in our list in Netflix, right? All the you want to continue watching, right? And looking through it, and it's like, oh, that does not feel good. That doesn't feel good. And it's like, oh, True in the Rainbow Kingdom, that feels good. That's where we're at right now. And so we watch True in the Magic Kingdom and the Rainbow Kingdom, right? And it's like, but I am enjoying that in a state that is much younger than the body, right? But I was just enjoying the show that I was watching now that is very much an adult show, right? And it's nobody else is watching it. It's all me. But sometimes, well, I don't know if I told you, but um, and if I did, I'm not sure that I told your audience. So anyway, we had this lovely happenstance outside the door. Um, my neighbors in the hall right across from me, they have a wreath that touches their door frame. It's that close. And it's 2 feet in diameter. And the top is not over my head. Right there in the bottom, a little chickadee built a nest and then laid 4 eggs. And then they hatched. And so, of course, I'm out there every day talking to them and bringing them food and things like this, right? And Mama is what, I would open the door and say, Mama, it's just me. Don't worry. And she would never fly off. She would stay there. Anybody else came by, she would fly off, including a couple of girls that came by regularly to kind of peek, 7 and 4 years old. And anyway, talked to them about the birds a little bit and like that. And then one day I was sitting here doing some spring cleaning just about a week and a half ago, and there's a knock on my door. And I go, and it's the two little girls. And they're like, can you come out and play? I was like, oh my God, yes. And just give me a minute. I put my shoes on. And then, we went out and played. And it was lovely, right? Um, and then I came back and helped someone, um, an hour after I came home with their differential equation homework that they were having trouble with, right? And it's just like these appear to be disparate, but I they're not. There's emotional healing going on with each one of them, right? And just as I said, reclaiming things that I could never do. The 7 and the 4-year-old girls didn't want to play with me when I was a 6-year-old boy, right? They didn't want to play with me. I never got to experience that, and now I do. And my favorite thing in the world to do. I mean, I live in thrift stores. I just absolutely adore them. I've never enjoyed something as much in my life as I have ever since, I can go clothes shopping, right? Because clothes were a necessary evil before, but I never got a chance to dress up and look good, to what I felt good in, right? And I do. And I get that opportunity. And of course, I'm on a budget, so thrift stores. But it's like I said, I've never enjoyed anything as much. That's not. And then going out and playing hide and seek and the swings and playing games and making them up as we go along, um, and that felt natural. Everything feels natural, even though I'm hopping between maturity states, maybe. I
That's
don't
what
know.
I was just going to ask you. It sounds like you're so sunny.
Yes.
In a
Hmm.
way, it's like you are one state, like one developmental stage, one personality, but you still have open to you the freshness of experience or the expertise of experience of different levels of maturity. Did that make any sense? Like
I
it,
think it did.
so what
I
I'm thinking of is one of those pots that you put on your front porch that has the little openings along the sides of the pots to put strawberries in. Do you know what I'm talking about? So you can have it's like a special strawberry pot that has like all these little pockets of new strawberries that grow all over the pot. You
yes, yes, I do. Yes, yes, indeed, I do.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember as my daughter grew, I was thinking, oh my God, this is my favorite age. And then she would get a little older, and then she could do things she could do before, and she didn't do things that she did before, right? Because now she's not 3, she's 6. And I'm like, oh my God, this is my favorite age. And then she got to, and it's just, and that's it. I didn't get to experience all those ages. And so, whatever opportunities life presents me with, I meet it wherever life is. So if life is presenting me with an opportunity that's perfectly tailored for a 9-year-old, I'm meeting it as a 9-year-old. If it gives me an experience that is custom made for someone in their 20s, I'm in my 20s. And beneath it all, though, I am just me. I mean, I can see the fact that I am acting very 9 years old right there. I can see that. I know that I'm doing it. I'm choosing it to do it. I'm choosing to have this experience right now, but I'm not acting.
Mhm.
It's real. That 9-year-old self is real. It was, well, I don't know if I shared this last time, but I was 6 for what, 52 years? 6 years old. I mean, it said on the refrigerator, happy birthday, Sansere, happy 6th birthday, Sansere, on the refrigerator. On every refrigerator we had on refrigerator magnets, it said that for decades because I was always 6. I always got a cake on my birthday that was happy 6 years old. But um, but suddenly that was gone. I started aging and not linearly. It's like I got all the ages at the same time. I've never heard this talked about, so I'm trying to make up language to describe it as we go.
I love
But
it.
it's like I had all the ages available to me and all the different developmental stages available to me all at the same time. And as I say, whatever life presents me with, that's what I'm enjoying. There are times that I make choices, like in front of the TV when I'm going through. Do I want to watch this for ages 3 and up, or this for very mature audiences only, and sensitive viewers may not want to watch it? And I can go, I can do either and enjoy them, but there are times that I'm drawn more to one than the other. Like I said, at night I tend to resonate more with younger things. But doesn't mean it won't happen at 9 o'clock in the morning either. It's just, it tends to, but it's not a rule. And we don't really have any rules. It's just whatever happens. Um,
I was talking to another psycho buddy about what she would love to hear an answer to, and it has to do with what you're talking about right now about you're not it's not a matter of selecting an alter in your situation. In your situation, it sounds like it's selecting a maturity level without changing who you are, but select because there are all these opportunities to grow, and so you select the one that is most appropriate for a situation. But let me fix that. It's not. I can't tell if what you mean is that you select it or that's the part of you that just comes to be there. And the person to whom I was speaking, who's another psycho buddy who's on the team with me, um, her question was, how do you decide what alter, and maybe it's more appropriate to my experience than yours at this stage, but with you, maybe how did you decide what alter takes care of what situation? Like, is there one that does the accounting and one that does creative things and one that does laundry and one that cooks? Or is there one that does accounting, creative things, laundry, and cooks, and then the others just jump in when some sort of expertise is necessary, or when you're stuck in some kind of really shitty traumatic situation and somebody has to take over? Like, it's kind of like, what is the executive switchboard look like, or what did it look like?
yeah, we're going to have to go with what did it look like, because it really isn't. I know I say like I choose um, like what show I'll watch on TV, but even choosing, but I'm not choosing a state. It's it naturally reveals itself to me where I want to watch, what's going on right now, how I'm feeling. And it'll just naturally show up. Now, in the past, um, Angel pretty much did everything um, that had anything to do with work. So whether it was accounting or cooking or whatever, um, it was always, no, no, I got this. Don't worry about it. But I think I think you've known, if you don't know now, but like we met when I started spending time on Zoom in Colorado, right? And the reason that I did that was, or I still have such a hard time saying I when it was Angel, but anyway, um, but the reason that I would do that is the meeting that I would go to ended at 5:30. which gave Angel a half an hour to make dinner because he would turn over executive control of mind and body to me then. And then me and the other kids would go play and have fun and do whatever. And Angel would go to sleep. Anything that happened. And so dinner was made. And sometimes it was playful when I would show up. There would be, he would make scenes with the food, like, oh, there's a train and there's a, tree and, just whatever. With the ground of mashed potatoes, you could put trees in there with broccoli and other stuff and, just whatever. And that's what I would like wake up to at 6. And then we would do whatever and then go to bed. Did I come out at time? Sure. If Angel was going to pass out, just absolutely losing their mind, pain, typically towards the end, it was mostly pain. I'd be like, I got this, and then he would relinquish and pass out. He didn't get to know the other two kids very well because when he went to the back of the bus, that's what we called it, the bus. Whoever was driving the bus was fronting, right? And so whoever was driving the bus, it was usually Angel. And the only time that he went into the back was when he was about to pass out. And then I would take over. So the kids were back there, the other two kids, but he didn't really get to know them that well because the only time they were in the room, he was unconscious. And as soon as he would gain consciousness again, he would run to the front and say, okay, I can take the wheel now. You can go in the back. And so that is not to say that I had not given Micah and Lori the reins after he went to sleep. But yeah, he didn't get to know them. They weren't up front. He never learned to be co-conscious with them until the very end. And that was healing as well. But it was the very end, and it didn't last very long. He and I became co-conscious so we could talk. And he never did figure that out. And I never cared to figure it out. But it seems so obvious now, knowing that I was the primary. But I could be in the front of the bus and the back of the bus at the same time, and I was the only one that could. And so I could be talking to him while he's driving the bus, but I'm up front, and I can talk to him, and he can talk to me. But I can also keep an eye on the little ones, and he couldn't do that, not while he was in the front.
I got a question for you about that. I really like the word co-conscious because that describes my experience of it. There's a technical term, cognitive diplopia, where you have two consciousnesses at once. And I was very relieved when I came across that term because I was like, yes, that. And co-conscious rings similarly to me, like, yes, that. For me, when I am in that place, when you talk about having a conversation between you and Angel with both of them inside your head, my question is that, I'm going to say it like this, is it like my experience, which is how normally if I close my eyes and think I see a red violin, then I can kind of hear the words in my head. If I'm having a conversation with another part of myself, I can hear the words in my head, and then sometimes another line of thought will cut through my thinking as if it has a different source than me. And that's when it really feels like there are two of us in my mind. When I have two sets of thought streams going at once. And if I am conversing, then it's turn taking the way that you and I are taking turns now, where one speaks and one stays quiet until the concept is done, and then we reverse. But there are times when I'm just sort of thinking along my own happy way, and another thing just goes wham right in the middle of it, like something completely else. Do you have, when you're talking between yourselves, or when you were talking between yourselves, what did that feel like or sound like? What is that like for you?
I really don't want to lose you and all your audience right now, but I'm going to tell you this. My therapist at the time, and the one who diagnosed me with TID, she said that the way that Angel described talking to me, and vice versa, or the way Angel described hearing me, was she was Christian. She said that it the description was perfectly described her hearing the Holy Spirit. So for somebody, that'll probably clear that right up, and for most people, it'll probably just go right over. It won't resonate at all. But yeah, I think I told you about when I told. Well, if I didn't, it's worth this. So I was going to that therapist office, and it was right there. It was a block away. I could see it, see the building. Um, Angel could see the building. Angel was driving. We were on our way. And then I yelled, turn right. And Angel turned right. Made no sense to him. And he was very logical. But he turned right because I said turn right. And again, not trying to make this religious at all. I was certainly not trying to do that. But spirituality is a big part of my life, and I have a relationship with my higher power that is extremely close, and I trust my higher power implicitly with all things. Angel did not. If God himself had come down and told Angel to do something, it'd be like, hang on, I'm going to check with Sonny. I'll get right back to you. And then he would. He trusted me the way that I trust God, and would not do anything unless I said it was okay. But if I said something, he did not question it. And so when I yelled, turn right, he turned right. He says, this makes no sense, as he was turning right, because that's what I told him to do. Now, I don't know why I was told to turn right. I just trusted that voice the way he trusted mine. And then the road exploded right where we would have been, because a main broke under the road, and it exploded, and 4 lanes of traffic got taken out.
Dude, good job listening.
Yeah, well, I listen better than me. But no, he listened to me, but it was just, but I could hear a different voice, and as well as his. But yeah, so I mean, that would be a sudden turn right, but usually it wasn't sudden. Usually it was just like conversation, like, well, the last, we had roles, like Angel would go at 6 p.m. and come get me, and then go to the back of the bus. But so that was kind of set by the clock. But then there were other things like, we'd be in the store. Angel made sure that every one of us had an allowance. So he would get us anything we wanted, but we wanted an allowance so we could spend it ourselves without having to ask. And so he made sure that everyone got an allowance, and then discovered that most of the time we were buying things for him. But anyway, but we'd be at the store or something, and it would be just like, okay, you need to go in the back of the bus. And it's like, I don't need anything, he would say, I don't need anything. Didn't ask if you needed anything, just said, you need to go to the back. Fine, okay, and then he would just go back to the bus. But that was, the type of conversations that we would have. It wasn't abrupt. Well, I guess it was abrupt, but I mean, if you were walking along with somebody and they said, hey, I need you to go to the back of the store or just make yourself scarce. So, because I'm going to go shopping and I want you to see what it is. It wouldn't be abrupt, and yet it was, that's how it was for us.
Beautiful. I've
Yeah.
had another type of switching experience that I would love to know if you can
Hmm.
empathize with. Um, when I guess it's happened twice in my life, but the one that's coming to mind most vividly is the first time I did electroconvulsive therapy, and I was really afraid. And the doctor had told me that I could listen to any song, that he would have any song I wanted playing. And so I told him in advance I wanted the Rainbow Connection, Kermit. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? That's the one that I wanted playing while I laid down and they put in the bike guard and the mask and everything. But when I got into the little room, it wasn't playing. And somehow that detail, like, I, my brain went like something's wrong. And I laid down and they did the thing where they read the numbers to each other to be sure that they match what's on my hand. And it was all very impersonal and there were a lot of machines. And they had me on an IV. And just before they started the anesthesia, I got like the executive control of the person who was very afraid but keeping things together slipped. It got hijacked. And I literally started screaming, "Don't hurt me, don't hurt me." And then another part of me took over and said, "My name is Finn T. I consent to this procedure. Take me out." And that's the last thing I remember. Neither of those was a voluntary switch. And it felt really terrible. Afterwards, I asked the doctor about it and he lied to me. He was like, "Oh, I don't know what you said." And I'm thinking, you know damn well what I said. But it was the situation. And it's not just that. Like yesterday I had a really a situation that felt very threatening to me. And I felt like the only way that I could stop the situation, I felt like I didn't have a choice, but the situation had to stop. And I went into hyperventilation. My eyes rolled back in my head. I froze. I couldn't move. And it felt like I was trying to switch, but nobody wanted to be there. Nobody was taking me up on it. I was just frozen in this like selfless, not a normal good kind of selfless, but this like empty, cold, without self, awful state of nobody wanting to drive that bus. And I was just
Yeah.
wondering if in your memory you've had like involuntary kind of things. And just so that you know, we've got 4.5 minutes left. So I don't want to spring it on you in 60 seconds like I did last time.
No worries. Here we go. Um, so did I share with you the how Angela and I met?
No.
I'm not sure we can do that in 4.5 minutes. However, we'll try. Here it is. No, we'll save that. But the body was 27 years old, and um, it was not like, oh my God, finally I found you. I'm so happy to have found you. It was not like that. It was just, it was scary, and there was anger and fear and a lot of other stuff that went on. However, Angel spent the next 18 months doing everything he could to make amends and to audition for the job of loving and caring parent. Hence the discussion about, that we talked about having about the reparenting yourself, right? Um, Angel auditioned for that job for 18 months and basically begged me for the job. Um, and he got the job the day that we created Team Us. that we all would have each other's back no matter what, that we were a family. And yeah, whatever one of us needed, whoever needed to, if it took all of us, we would provide it because we had each other's back. At that point, there was never any involuntary switching unless it was life threatening. The other person couldn't ask. And it was precious little of those going forward from there. And so, yeah, from 27 on, not a single episode of that, which is, you know, what, well, many decades ago. So.
I just got to tell you, I think it's so beautiful, the loving, I mean, that love is the primary dynamic between you and the parts of yourself, that between Angel, Sunny, Micah, and what is the last one's name?
Lori?
Lori. It's so beautiful that you are, or we're all so kind to each other and so protective. I think that's one of the areas of my own life that I'm going to get to grow through by having these conversations with you, because I have animosity toward parts of myself, and parts of myself have animosity toward other parts of myself because of choices that I have made that I wish I had made differently. Primarily that, not having fought when I was in situations where I was being abused. That's a really difficult one for me to come to terms with. And I think it's just so inspiring that you have such a healthy love of yourself and your parts, and that you express that in action.
Anyway, no
Well, we
worries.
have less than a minute, so I love you, and let's do this again, okay?
Absolutely. Had a great time. Thank you. And ta-da.